All right, here we go. This week I want to go over how I structure my day in training. It's something I get asked a lot about. Tom, over here had a good idea. So we're going to talk about how I structure my day, the order of how I do my workouts basically is what we want to go over, how I structure my recovery days and rest days. So yeah, when I look at training, if I'm in season, what I'm going to do is typically I'm going to come out and the first thing in the morning and I'm going to get some aerobic capacity or just straight monostructural training of some sort, either running, biking, rowing, ski erg, swimming, or a combination of those, but some sort of where I'm just doing that, where it's not really weights involved or other movements. It's just a running session or a bike session. And that's my first workout of the day, and that's typically going to take about 40-ish minutes, maybe an hour, depending on if I'm doing the volume that I'm doing that day. So that's my first first workout. After that, I'm going to go into have some strength, a little bit of strength. So that would be typically Olympic weightlifting for me, or some squatting or deadlifting, one of the two. How I look at that is typically I'm doing a lot of Ollie lifting. I feel like there's a huge emphasis on Ollie lifting in the CrossFit world, so that's what I'm gonna focus on, and that's something that I struggle with, and so that's one of my weaknesses. So I definitely have to do something like that something like that every single day. What that really consists of is doing a major lift, either snatch, clean and jerk, squatting of some sort, probably like a 6x3 style. And then I'm gonna do some accessory stuff that goes along with that movement. So whether it be snatch pulls, clean pulls, or jerks, or whatever, or shoulder presses, and something like that. So definitely gonna take about an hour on that as well, typically. And then I'm gonna finish that session off with some sort of traditional style CrossFit. So whether it have weight or not, depending on the day and what I've done for the week. So now I'm gonna go into more of a CrossFit specific style of workout. So, and that'll end that session. That's typically prior to lunch is when that will all go down. Have some lunch, relax a little bit, and then I'll come out and I will do some more CrossFit, another conditioning style piece of CrossFit, maybe some intervals of some sort, and then close the day out with a little bit of skill work or strength work, depending on the day. So that is typically how I look at my days when it comes to when I'm in season and I'm training hard and either regional, sanctional, or the games is coming up. Those are my days, what they look like. So I like to structure it exactly where I come out. I get some conditioning in. I think that's super important to have that. And if I don't feel like it hurts my strength workouts that much. Every once in a while, I'll rotate that. I just feel like if I come out and I go straight into strength, I just don't feel primed or ready, and my central nervous system isn't awake, and I'm not going to lift as well as I should. So that's why I like to do those warm-up workouts with, when I call warm-up workout, it's conditioning typically. So that's a typical day. Recovery days, what I'll typically tend to do is I will come out and I will do 3 small short workouts, typically ranging around the 5-minute range. The intensity is still there. Weight is typically light, in the 50% range. The volume is pretty low. So like, to give you an example, I would do 3 rounds of 20 cal bike, 50 double unders. Rest 5 minutes, 3 rounds of 20 cal row, 10 bench at 185. Rest 5 minutes, 3 rounds of 500 meter ski erg and maybe 10 burpees, something like that, to where the volume's not crazy. I'm not gonna come back and feel sore from it the next day. And I'm actually gonna recover a little bit, but I'm also gonna generate some blood flow. If I take a full day off, I typically, the next day, I feel really tight unless I stretched a lot, which I typically get a little lazy with, is my stretching. Something I should do a lot more of is stretching. So, yeah. that would be a typical recovery day for me, something like that, or maybe just a 20-minute bike or 20-minute row, something like that. Really easy paced, very, very light effort. Those are typical recovery days. And then full rest days. Now that I'm older, some might say, I definitely take full rest days. And on those days, I typically just stretch and get out of the garage. So those are my least favorite days, but I do those sometimes. More so now than I used to. I used to not take them very often. Now I take it at least once a week, sometimes two. So yeah, that's my typical days for in season this year. You know, I'm definitely gonna do 6 days of training a week. One might be an active recovery and one a full rest day. That's what I'm planning on doing. Prior to that, like seasons before, it would be I would take a full rest day probably every 2 weeks, and I would do a recovery day once a week, and it was typically like Thursdays. So, and it would just be a really short, low intense, low volume day that just was to move the blood. So those are my days. That's how I structure them. If this opens up more questions, awesome. We'll go through the questions, and that was awesome. So, yeah, hopefully this gets more questions. If you guys have questions on anything else, please let me know. We will go over that. So yeah, hope you guys enjoyed that. Let me know what you think. Subscribe to the thing. And as always, don't forget to pay the man.